secondary level, but I will tell you I have worked with some amazing teachers who felt that it was their responsibility to connect with each family with a positive message. And I've seen teachers who once a quarter will go through their entire class lists at the secondary level, have a very short conversation with all the families, but they make sure that they have made that connection with the families. And what it means is when you really do need the family for support, when you do need them for a more serious issue, they believe that they have that there's a relationship between you and the teacher. You don't want this feeling that, oh my goodness, every time the school calls, it's another problem. Who wants to take those calls? And then you wonder why they don't pick up the telephone or they don't respond. So we need to have these positive messages to build on this trust. The last point are home visits, which are increasingly important in schools. Sometimes it's teachers, sometimes it's administrators, sometimes it's trained parents. But the bottom line is that home visits really benefit the school in so many ways. The families feel this is a sign of respect, that you have actually come to their home, and they are very honored with that. And the school benefits because it gains the insights from seeing the family, from seeing firsthand the culture. It is a tremendous asset to be able to, again, build this relationship and to build it on their home turf. That is truly a gift all around. Everybody benefits from that. The other point is to collaborate with the community. Schools very often view themselves as totally self-sufficient. This is their responsibility to work with students, and they don't see the importance or the need to work with another group. As a matter of fact, it's such a demanding profession to be a teacher and administrator that they just don't feel they have the time to work with the community, when the reality is the community can help support the teachers and administrators in the school, and it's a resource that you can take advantage of. The critical piece is to go beyond the stereotypes you might have. I hope we've already broken some of the stereotypes so far through the webinar, but learn about the culture. The cultures are different. That's why there's not a sheet here on Latino families and one on Asian families. We need to get beyond those stereotypes we have. We need to find out from the community members who's living in your neighborhoods and what's happening there. And you can talk with parents from the community. And then you can talk with the cultural, religious, or community leaders who are very actively involved with those cultures. They can be your cultural brokers, and they can also provide additional resources, such as being mentors, such as supporting leadership programs, providing after-school programs. But you need to bring them on as your partners early on. And connect with community service agencies. Schools cannot do it all. And it doesn't have to be on the school's shoulders to figure out what the relationship should be. Start building these innovative partnerships. I think that's something you can see in these Caring Across Communities projects, that when you bring all the stakeholders to the table, everybody collaborates and brainstorms together. Once you've learned about your community, then tailor outreach to that culture. Find out what the issues are. Is this particular community dealing mostly with employment, or is it dealing with housing? What's going on that you need to pay attention to? I want to go back to the slide right before it here. It's important to be sensitive to the cultural nuances. In some cultures, issues such as time, extended family, or communication styles may come into play. And I have a story about that. I was doing a workshop for assistant principals, and one of them said that there was a family that came, a Latino family came for a parent-teacher conference, and they arrived 20 minutes late. And they were not only there with the parents, but they were there with the aunts and uncles and the grandparents. And, whoops, there we go, we're back on the slide. Okay, they came with their extended family, and the family came in, and they were very excited about it, and they were moving around the classroom. And the teacher was frustrated and felt completely disrespected. And what the principal tried to help the teacher understand was that for this family, maybe 20 minutes late was on time. And had someone explain to them that there are these little slots that you have to be there for, that we in the United States, we've been growing up with this system and this way of adjusting to time we take for granted. That may not have been the case with this family. Maybe they were never invited to the school before, so they wanted to make sure that they brought the extended family with them. And as I've been saying, the aunts and uncles are not just relatives that don't pay attention. They are part of the caring connection for these students. So they all came to celebrate what was going on in school. And yes, the teacher can help them understand that this isn't going to work during a parent-teacher conference, but maybe what it says is we need to have other times where the extended family can come and can work together to support the child. The last point here, involve the parents from that culture in planning and implementing the outreach. Again, we tend to think, okay, it's the school's job to plan. Well, we got some 5 parents there, and then we'll go back and we'll plan by ourselves again. No, the answer is once you see parents starting to get involved, utilize their expertise. Welcome them to come back. Ask them for advice and involve them in the future programs. So once you have started to look at the cultures and see what that particular culture needs and how to reach them, create targeted programming. And that includes small group events, maybe in a neighborhood, maybe for a culture. Here we go again with some of the myths that go on. We have this perception in our schools that something's going to be successful if it attracts a lot of families. And that may not always be the case. Sometimes what you need to do is create small group events, so that the families start feeling comfortable in the school and they can move beyond those small groups into the larger groups. There needs to be a personal invitation, and it needs to be extended more than once. It can be a note home, phone call. Again, even if you feel a family doesn't understand any of the language, sometimes there is an understanding of basic things like please come to a program. And if you have that program, make sure that there are interpreters available. Notices in cultural newspapers. This is something that the parents that I've worked with from the different immigrant groups have emphasized, is that everybody reads a newspaper from their own culture. You may see that if you go into international supermarkets or restaurants from a culture, that they've got these newspapers there, and they usually have reporters who do speak English, and they are eager to get news about what's going on in the school. It is a way to create that bond, create that trust by utilizing these cultural newspapers. Also, encourage what one of the schools in the Caring Across Communities project called snowballing. If you've got 5 families, have each of them bring a friend next time, and then every time after that. And that's how you start with these small groups, and you increase it. Then this critical point at the bottom, hold programs in the community. If every program you hold is only in your school, you're going to miss out on many parents who simply are intimidated. If they haven't had a good education themselves, they may not want to walk into the school building. It may be too far for them. They may not have the transportation to get there. So hold meetings out in your community. This is where those community partners come in. If you've been building the relationships with your community organizations and the religious and cultural leaders, you will find them offering